Hey everyone, it's Jamie from Independent Street Tarot and Seasons and Ritual, and I'm here to talk about our beautiful partial solar eclipse that's happening tomorrow on the 21st. Um, we will not be able to see it here in America. It's going to be seen over in the islands and I think Antarctica, just from where we are. But that doesn't mean that we won't feel the energetic impact of it. And honestly, we're in the energetic impact of it now. So, eclipses happen when the sun and the moon are near the north and south node. So we had the full lunar eclipse earlier in the month when we had the full moon um, in Pisces. And so the sun was conjunct the north node, which is in Pisces. Um, and that is signaling what we are going towards as a collective, which is more spirituality, letting things go, letting things turn over, um, understanding that the spiritual side does can can work and coincide with science, right? Because we're in this age of Aquarius. And now the sun and the moon, because when they're together, that's when we have the dark moon. And so they will be together. And they're going to be at 29 degrees of Virgo, but the south node is at 18 degrees. So they're just outside that conjunction point of 10 degrees. So close enough, honestly. Splitting hairs, close enough. So, it's a really auspicious time, if you will, because we're moving into Libra season, which is fall. And so we have this dark moon of Libra, which is also going to be the partial solar eclipse. The sun has been lighting up that lunar south node in Virgo. And one way that has been working with us is I have so many people coming up to me and they're just like, yeah, I don't give a shit about things anymore. Things that used to bother me for years, they're no big, can't feel in my body. I'm like, great, that's us leaving behind things that no longer serve us. But it's really potent in Virgo because Virgo is one of the signs of service. Virgo is the resolver. Virgo is, mutable earth. We see Virgo as the Virgin. Um, the Virgin Mary's birthday is on September 8th, so we celebrate that as a feast day. Um, and so this idea of letting go of being a martyr, this idea of letting go of resolving everyone else's issues or resolving things for everyone so they can have an easy life while you're not having an easy life because you're mired down with everyone's shit. Um, all of that is being released and it's being released rather quickly. And it even goes, and especially if you have been ruminating for maybe years about, well, I need to do this way, or, so and so is not going to approve of it, or I kind of keep showing up for fill in the blank, um, even though it doesn't serve you anymore. All that stuff, you're gonna wake up and just be like, actually, I don't care about showing up. And it's not even a like mean, I don't care. It's like literally in your body, you're just not gonna feel it anymore. You're not gonna feel any anxiety or tension or nervousness, like, oh, I've got to do this for X, Y, and Z. It's just like it's not there. I I don't know how to explain it, but it is this energy moving through. It is moving off the planet. It is that oppressive, martyring energy that you just can't be happy and live free because you've got to do, you know, things or wear yourself down doing things for other people. And that is really coming in hot, as they say, coming in hot. So pay attention to how you're feeling, today, tomorrow, going into Libra season. Like I said, it's a really beautiful time and it's really a powerful time because we started Virgo season with the dark moon in Virgo, and we're ending it with a dark moon in Virgo. And it's not that this doesn't happen because it does, because the sun and the moon, they move, they're mathematical. So we do get to a point where when we hit that degree of a dark moon and it's right at 0 degrees of Virgo, well, the sun takes, 29 days, 30 days. however to get through the season. So they could match up, right? But it has to happen mathematically. So this isn't like it this isn't that rare, but it is it's rare in the fact that it's happening now at this time on this time in the planet. Let's just say it like that. Okay, so don't come at me in the comments like this happens every so many days. Yeah, I got it. But um it is really beautiful that it's happening in Virgo in ending summer, moving into fall, where we go into the harvest. You can see, right? The harvest moon. That was the full moon. And so moving into Libra season because the next day is Libra season. Um, getting back into balance, letting all the stuff move through this partial solar eclipse, eclipsing out what's no longer needed, but also eclipsing in what we need to light ourselves up to keep moving forward. I don't know if you guys can see I have my Virgin Mary earrings on. Um, to keep moving us forward, right? No longer the martyr, no longer the um, just resolver for everyone else, but coming back to the self, right? Coming back to what it is that we want to do, what it is that we want to experience. Um, and bringing that back into balance, especially if our lives have been really out of balance for years, right? And I talk about this all the time. We're living in this patriarchal, context, like living in this, hustle culture, getting back into balance. What does balance look like now? Now that I don't care about these other things that I used to care about, they've just magically left my body, right? Um, and for those of us who've been doing the work, I'm sure you've already seen it and felt it by now. But it is this beautiful understanding that cosmically and collectively, this shift is happening. And it is about taking more responsibility for the self. Um, and when we take responsibility for the self, that helps us take responsibility for the other. We were taught that, just being of service and taking care of the other was the way to take care of ourselves, but that's not true. That's been very toxic for many, many thousands of years, right? Um, and the other thing that I want to touch on too is this Virgo Pisces axis, right? The sun is our masculine, the moon is our feminine. Virgo, the Virgin Mary, Pisces, this idea of Jesus. Okay. And so working through that, this Virgo season, and ending with that this Virgo season. And it's a really beautiful place to be in the heart, in the body. Um, I think Virgo rules the nervous system. I'm not 100% on that, so I'll look it up after I make this video and put in the comments if it does or does not. Um, but it's this idea of going back to the masculine, if you see that, which Pisces, by the way, is a feminine sign, because it's a water sign. But if you use this idea of the JC, and Pisces in the fish, right? Um, coming in one form, letting go of that form, moving into spirit, teaching us, that life eternal, spirit is everlasting, right? There's no such thing as death. And then the Virgo, which is an earth sign, which is also a feminine sign, we representing the Virgin Mary. But that idea of virginal, which is constantly renewing itself, constantly being in joy, constantly waking up every day um, in the energy of the Virgin, right? Oh, this is new. I've let go of yesterday, right? That Pisces, letting go, moving forward, the Virgin energy, resolving. I resolved what I needed to resolve. I'm moving forward. And how beautifully they do work together. And that idea of how that masculine and feminine is working within ourselves, within our bodies. Um, 29-degree mark of Virgo is to me, I always say like those last 5 degrees from 25, 30. are degrees of mastery. And so we have the sun and the moon together at 29 degrees at this degree of mastery, learning what it means now to be masculine and feminine, what it means now to let go, what it means now to trust in spirit, what it means now, how we're showing up now, what we've resolved that we don't have to bring forward, right? Again, not being that martyr anymore, understanding people can take care of themselves. We can all get ourselves off the cross and get ready for Libra season, right? And bringing that back into balance. Because one of the things that I noticed when I was looking at the chart, well, there's a few things that I noticed, but one of the things that I noticed is when we talk about astrology, we're usually talking about trines and sextiles and quincunxes and things like that, right? How the planets are speaking to each other when something is happening. And what I noticed with this chart was there was four houses where there was no transits. They were just empty. And I say that knowing, so let me just say the houses. So it was the 5th, 7th, 11th, and 12th houses had no transits when this partial solar eclipse is happening. And I say this knowing if you have a natal planet in the seventh house, that natal planet is still in that seventh house. Okay. It's not like it's not there. Um, but the point that I'm making is if you weren't looking at it with your natal chart, you were just looking at the chart right now at this time, there's no transiting planets in there. And I found that very interesting that in those houses, we're empty. Okay. So the fifth house rules creativity, um, romantic romance. It's how we express ourselves joyfully. The seventh house rules partnerships, marriages, and our relationships to the other. The 11th house rules friends, hopes, and goals. And that 12th house is the house of karma, spiritual realms, and subconsciousness. So, as we're in this spiritual time, if you will, especially coming with the idea of Virgo and Pisces, even if you don't believe, even if you're not a Christian or anything like that, it's still this time of Pisces represents spiritual, the higher self, right? And Virgo represents the idea of resolving and um, showing up new, right? Getting things done, not not bringing things with them. Um, at this time of this eclipse that's eclipsing things out and eclipsing things in, there is nothing happening in the fifth, seventh, 12th, and 11th house. And to me, that is telling me they are also having major resets at this time. So, in that house of creativity, romance, how we express joyfully, we get to say now how we do that. What does that look like moving forward? In the house of partnerships, marriage, and the other, what does that mean to us now versus what it meant before? The house of friends, goals, hopes, what do they look like now, right? You could have woke up at the beginning of the month and had all these hopes, dreams, and then now you could be like, you know what? None of these even resonate with me anymore. Where are we now? And then last but not least, the 12th house, right? Karma. Hold on one second. I think the mailman is coming by. I can't tell. My ring light broke, and so I had to keep the door open to try to get some light in my cave of a house. So, but again, the house, that 12th house of karma, we're resetting karma at this time. We're not bringing all those old stories with us. We don't have to bring those old patriarchal stories with us. And I can see it falling away all the time, not only within myself and with others, around me, but even in just even in news clips, right? Which I try not to watch the news, and I watch it way too much, quite honestly. But the way things are being explained, um, and the way that the other wants us to feel about certain situations, and how the other keeps trying to bring things up. We don't we're not subscribing to that anymore. We're subscribing to ourselves and what it means to be a good neighbor to our neighbors, what it means to be a good neighbor to ourselves. What really is important for us. So that 12th house of karma, spiritual realms, right? Pisces spiritual, the subconscious. Why do I keep making the same mistake over and over again? Being flushed out. Okay, this is a new start, a reset. Neptune will be at 0 degrees of Aries. Okay, that divine masculine now that is Aries, right? Because Aries is ruled by Mars. And I see Mars now as that spiritual warrior. He rules Aries. Neptune will be at 0 degrees, 0 degrees, a karmic turning point. What does Neptune rule? Neptune rules Pisces, right? And Pisces is opposite of Virgo. And at this time, there will be, or at that time, there'll be a grand trine and also a kite formation. And these kite formations are really special because it is this idea about uplifting, moving higher, navigating the wind, which I think is so beautiful because we are in this age of Aquarius, and Aquarius is an air sign. In that grand air trine, we have Pluto at 1 degrees of Aquarius, karmic reset, Uranus and Gemini at 1 degrees, karmic reset, and then we have what's special about this, then we have the sun and the moon at 29 degrees of Libra. So usually if we have a grand trine, a lot of times, not all the time, honestly, not all the time, but a lot of the times it'll be like a grand air trine, which means they're all in air signs or a grand fire trine. But this one, we have two air signs at the very beginning of their signs, right? Libra, or excuse me, Gemini and Pluto at that very beginning. We have Uranus and Gemini. Uranus rules Aquarius. We have Pluto in Aquarius. Pluto rules Scorpio. So they're on this end, right? The very beginning, that freshness, that newness, that karmic resetting point. Let's start over, let's start again. We can do whatever we want. We've got a brand new canvas. And then we have the sun and the moon, our masculine and feminine, our divine selves at that degree of mastery in Libra. Okay, and Libra wants to resolve this. Libra wants to get rid of all the old baggage, right? I mean, in Virgo, not in Libra, Virgo. Sorry, the sun and the moon are 29 degrees in Virgo. If it was in Libra, it would be a grand trine. So the sun and the moon are at 29 degrees of Virgo. So that Earth coming in, resolving, keeping it simple, keeping it practical, but that degree of mastery, right? And that degree of mastery with the Virgin, right? This is how we start over. This is how we start anew, realigned with our masculine and feminine together, right, within ourselves. This is our new home. Okay, this is how we move forward. We're resolving the past, and it's happening basically magically, I would say, because I like to use the word magic, but basically very magically with all this good energy that's coming onto the planet. And I have to say this, it is very, very important at this time for us to focus on what it is that we want in our lives, what we want to manifest, as we say, what we want to bring in, what we want to focus on. We cannot look outside of us. Okay, we have to look within us and then bring that out into the public. Okay, so many karmic reset points, signs that have no planets because they're in that void in the darkness, resetting themselves in the dark moon. And then Pluto and Gemini, Pluto and Uranus, Pluto at 1 degrees of Aquarius, Gemini 1 degrees of Uranus. I'm fucking this up, you guys. Pluto at 1 degrees of Aquarius, Uranus at 1 degrees of Gemini, and then the sun and the moon at 29 degrees of Virgo, speaking to each other. Air signs are the future. Air signs are communication. Air signs are the way we think about things, right? We're starting to think about things differently. We're speaking about things differently. And our divine masculine and feminine at that 29 degrees of Virgo is resolving it. They got it. Okay, it's time. This is how we show up together. This is how we show up in love. This is how we show up in unity, right, with ourselves. And when we start moving in tandem with ourselves, with our alignment, right? With our unique self, our natural self, and we can put that out there. That's how we're able to set boundaries. That's how we're able to manifest. That's how we're able to really understand what it is that we want to at our core. So this is a very magical dark moon. There's my there's the other guy that's delivering the mail. This is a very magical dark moon. Thank you. In Virgo. It's a very magical partial solar eclipse. And then the most beautiful thing too is that we roll right into Libra season. So we'll still have this grand air trine, except it'll be then a grand air trine with Libra, um, uplifting us. We got this kite formation uplifting us. Winds of change are here, but then Libra will bring us back into balance. So if things have been a little rocky, let them be rocky. Honestly, you guys, the people that I have talked to the most have just said they felt differently. No one's really felt too upset, honestly. They are really noticing like there's just some things that they're not bringing with them anymore. Um, and if you guys are wondering, okay, what should I do next? The best advice I can give you is give yourself a couple weeks, give yourself at least a week out from this eclipse that's happening tomorrow and see what Libra is telling you, how to balance these energies moving forward. Okay, friends, I hope I didn't confuse you guys too much. If so, just let me know in the comments and I'll clear it up. But hopefully I got it for everyone. So that is that. Concentrate on what it is that you guys want to see in the world. Okay. That's where we're at. That's what moves things forward. That energy and that vibration is what's changing the world. Okay. If you guys have any questions, please reach out and I will see you soon. For you don't know, I'm on Instagram, like and subscribe, all those things. And then till then.